Hi friends, thanks so much for joining me today. So in today's card tutorial, we're going to be making this adorable card. I found it so cute because I like the way that the person that made it folded back these little corners. Now, for the next few weeks, I will be featuring cards that I had received recently for my birthday, which was at the end of May. So I kept I kept them all because I always keep all of my handmade cards, but I kept some of them aside because I wanted to reproduce them. Now, obviously, I don't have the dimensions, so I kind of have to play around with it and see what works best. So for this one, I did play around with it a bit, and then I actually came up with my own design, which is pretty similar, although I did add an extra layer. And my next sample, though, is even more different. Well, not too different, but anyway, so this was like a happy accident where I was cutting off these pieces on the angles here. And then I was like, oh, you know what? That would have been nice if I left them there. So that's how this card came about. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to do this very similar, just in masculine tones, because hey, who doesn't need masculine cards, right? I know I do. I'm sure you do as well. And sometimes we struggle because we're always using these pretty papers and all these pretty stamp sets and all the ribbon. Anyway, that's what we're doing today. And our buy one get one 50% off on all Sweet and Sweet products is good through the end of June. If you have any questions about that, please be sure to reach out to me. I know it's been a little bit confusing, but I know I figured it out. So if you need help, let me know. I'd be more than happy to help you. Okay, so in today's tutorial, I am featuring textured notes and the dies that come along with it. We won't be using the dies. I am using a couple of the stamps from this set. The dies are really great though. They are rectangular and I love the detailing along the edge. This is really pretty. We're not using these though, but it does come as, if you purchase it as a set, you get 10% off. And the reason I'm showing this is because it is part of a suite, so you could get it buy one get one 50% off. Just keep in mind that if you're buying the DSP and the stamps and dies as a set, you're going to get this at 50% off, not this. So you might want to, finagle it somehow, okay? Because that's what I did. So, and then we have the Woven Textures Designer Series paper. This paper is really beautiful. We've got all these gorgeous textures here. Very masculine, but also feminine. We can use these on any of our card designs. And they invoke, to me, they look like burlap or Berber even, like a Berber carpet, wicker baskets. I mean, you name it, that's what it kind of looks like. That's the A side. And then you have the B side, which is also quite lovely. So that's what we are using today. And I got most of my pieces cut. I have a piece of basic white, which is just 4 by 5 1/4. Now, if you're interested in the actual measurements, because I'm really not going to go over them, make sure you sign up for my newsletter. You'll find the information, the link in the description below the video, where you can sign up for my newsletter. Okay, we're using crumb cake, early espresso. I have another piece of crumb cake, and then I have a piece of DSP, the Woven Textures. So I am going to cut this down to 1 3/4 inches. So basically in half, and then I'm going to cut it in half horizontally. All right, so we're going to put that at 1 3/4. I'm going to lay these two pieces together, and we're going to cut this at 2 7/8. Right about there. Make sure both pieces are in there good, lined up. Make sure, nope, I'm sorry, 2 3/8. See, I'm glad I looked at that. Sometimes I can't read my own writing. So that's 1 3/4 by 2 3/8. So again, if you want the good measurements, make sure you sign up for the newsletter if you're not already signed up, and you'll get the PDF with the measurements on that. All right, so that is it. I think we're kind of done with the trimmer. All right, so let us start to assemble this. So what I like to do first is I will take the designer series paper and I'm going to fold it back on the corners. Now the reason I laid it out like this is because I want to make sure that I get, you know, because if you fold them all, like if I had them all like this and folded the corners back, it won't work. So you want to keep them like this. I'm very visual, so that will help me. So let's start with one piece, and basically I'm eyeballing it about halfway going this way. And I'm not going to press down yet because I do want to line them up you know, fairly well, because that's what makes it so cool, right? So I'm going to line those two up. That looks pretty good. Okay, then we're going to do the same thing with the upper pieces, and I'm going to flip them around just because it's easier. I'm right-handed, so for me it's just easier to fold down that way. Make sure that that's good. I think that's, let's see, yep, that's pretty good. And then we have our last piece. This mat, this is actually a glass mat. My son was getting rid of it because he got a new one, and I said, oh, you know what, can I use it upstairs in my craft room? He said, yeah, until I sell it. I'm like, well, are you selling it? He's like, well, I don't know yet. I'm like, all right, well, when you're ready to sell it, let me know and you can have it back. But, so this is my first time using it. Obviously, you've never seen it in my videos. But it was kind of cool. And I like that it's matte, so it's not shiny, where my other mat that I have underneath is kind of shiny, so it does, you know, the light has glare on it. All right, let me do this because I'm like, let's see, I think that should be good. Yep, okay, good. All right, and then you're going to take your bone folder and just burnish all the edges nicely. And on this one, I am going to try something different, a couple of different things. I'm going to use heat embossing powder for the sentiment, and I'm going to dry emboss with the, I think it's the cane weave embossing folder. Make sure that's what it is. Yep, the cane weave embossing folder. And this just happens to be on the last chance list, and it's like $6, so it's a steal. All right, so we've got those pieces now. We need to cut this. Again, I'm cutting it in half, lengthwise and then horizontally. So this piece is, what is this? This is 3 3/4. Okay, so half of that is 1 7/8. So 1 7/8. All right. And I'm going to put these together, and we're going to cut it at 2 1/2. So 1 7/8 and 2 1/2. Okay. Now, of course, this piece was optional in the original card. The person who made it for me did not have this piece, but I thought it just added a little something extra. Then I had a little bit of an issue because I was like, okay, so now I put that, now how am I going to stamp that sentiment if I've got this covering? And that's how I decided to just cut this at an angle, so it left a little bit of a border all the way around, and I think that turned out really cool. So that's what I'm thinking. All right, I think I can start gluing these down to these pieces. And again, I'm using crumb cake, but you can use any color or cardstock that you have on hand. So I'm just going to add some liquid glue, and we'll have a little bit of a border on here. Sorry about the throat. I just have this frog in my throat. Allergies have been so bad this year. I'm just like not happy at all. So when this video goes live, I will actually be in the Las Vegas area. And I am hoping to be able to stop at our Stampin' Up office in Kanab, Utah. And yes, that is quite a drive. It's about, I think it's about a 3-hour drive from Las Vegas. But my reason that I'm stopping there is because my sister and her husband are leaving. Well, they would have left this Thursday, the week before here, which is the 12th. They are going on a motorcycle trip to Utah. They had their motorcycles shipped out there. So she said, well, you know, we're out here. We're going to go to Monument Valley in Arizona. Why don't you come hang out with us and stay with us for the night? And we can do like some night photography and all that. So she said, you know, this is something that you've wanted to do. You keep saying you want to come out on a trip with me, so we're going to be in the same area, so why don't you come meet us? And I'm like, yeah, but it's a 6-hour drive and I have to drive by myself. She's like, oh, come on, you can do it. So anyway, I'm doing it, and I've contacted Stampin' Up. Hopefully I'll be able to visit the Kanab office, which I believe is where they actually produce the stamps, not the photopolymer, the red cling rubber stamps are produced there. So I thought I'd do a tour, and I will definitely post pictures if I do get to do that. So be sure to, they'll be on Facebook, and also I'll sprinkle a few in my newsletter. So be sure that you are subscribed to that and that you follow me on Facebook. All right, so that is done. Now I'm going to close this up, and I'm going to dry fit these on here to my cardstock. Actually, nope, I take that back. First, we got to cut the corners off before we do that. All right, so let's use the trimmer. Now, you can do this with your snips. You can just come here and just eyeball it. And, well, that's actually not too bad. I'm going to try this. The other ones I use my trimmer, but this is kind of easy. And I think it's just easier. So don't worry about the trimmer. We're going to put this away. You can use the trimmer if you want. You can use the trimmer if you want, or the snips, but like I said, your scissors work just as well, if probably not easier. So you just kind of want to leave a little space there. And another one over on this side here. Now, I do not cut straight, and that's why I reach for the trimmer, because I can cut straight with the trimmer. But what happened with the trimmer is that I would not cut enough, and I think this is much easier. Okay, So that is that. Let's throw these out. All right, so next what I want to do, so let's heat emboss this now. Get my stamp. I've got my Versamark. I'm going to use gold embossing powder. Let me just quickly run my embossing buddy in the center here. Pull that off. Okay, got that. So let's dip this in here. And we'll put that right in the center. This thank you comes right from that stamp set Textured Notes. Just want to make sure that transfers nicely. Okay, good. So we're done with this. And let's get our embossing powder. Now, I'm going to take these off because I don't want the embossing powder to get... Now, off camera, I did put some adhesive on the back because they kept sliding around on me. So I'm just going to pull those off. So anyway, I don't want the embossing powder to get underneath here, and then I won't be able to move it. Okay, I'm just going to rub that adhesive off. All right, so let's get our embossing powder, and I'm using gold. We'll sprinkle this on, and we'll heat set it. Can barely see that. Sprinkle a little bit more. I have my fan going, and it's just blowing it. All right, I think that should be good. Let's pour this in here. Okay. All right, let's get the heat gun out. I like to keep the heat gun on me a little first to heat it up before I hit it on the paper. Just makes it a little bit quicker. So we're just going to heat that up until we start seeing the gold showing. There we go. And you see that? It's always just so magical to me when it starts doing that. So you don't want to go too long, because then you'll start scorching it. So let's shut that off. I think that should be good. Let that cool down just a minute before I stamp my leaf image on here. It did warp the paper a little bit. We're okay. I think we're okay. I think I can actually adhere these now. So let me just put them down again. That out of the way. Just want to get the spacing once again. And then we'll put them down with liquid glue. And then the last one here. Oh, actually, no. Well, yes, okay. I do want to dry emboss these, so I don't want to adhere these yet. So let's stamp our image. So we're going to use Early Espresso and the leaf image, which also comes from the Textured Notes. So we're going to ink that up. And then we're just going to stamp it right over that. I hope this looks okay. I haven't tried it yet. And I don't know what the embossing powder's the embossing. Okay, that doesn't look bad, right? No, I think, yeah, I think that looks pretty good. All right, perfect. Whew. I was a little worried about how that was going to turn out because I've never done it that way. All right, let me take these back off again. And we'll clean off our stamp on our chamois. I'm just going to put that there. And then I'll finish cleaning it off later. Do that one too. All right, let's get our cut and emboss machine here. Put things aside. All right, and I think this is a 3D embossing folder. Let's just check to make sure. Yes, it is. Okay. And I'm going to emboss this with the Cane Weave 3D embossing folder. This is optional, and you know, I didn't do it on the other two cards, and I just kind of thought about it. I said, I wonder what that would look like. So here we are. All right, let's run that through. Oh, look at how pretty that looks. I just love the way that it looks. Doesn't that look great? Let's put this aside. And all right, now we can adhere these again. Let's see, I just want moving right along. And we'll put the last piece down here. All right. So we're gonna wiggle it around a little. Okay, and there we go. All right, so we're gonna put this down onto our card base, and because it's embossed, I want to add a good amount of glue on it. So it does adhere nicely. And it's just a tiny little border, but it's a border nonetheless. All right, so there we go. Make sure that's down good. And I'm going to put the white piece, or basic white, on the inside. Normally I don't do this because I don't know what I'm writing in here yet. And if I'm going to put I'm going to stamp the inside, which I probably should have done, but oh well. I have a little trick for that actually, because what I'm thinking is I want to stamp the leaf image in the corner, but let me show you a little trick for that. So I'm just going to grab a piece of scrap paper, okay, and we're going to just kind of put it right about there. And then I'm going to take that same stamp and I'm going to stamp it in Early Espresso. First I want to stamp it off though. I didn't do a very good job cleaning it. So we're going to do Early Espresso, but we're going to stamp off again. Let me see what that looks like. I think I like the 3rd generation. So we're going to go 1, 2, and then we'll put the 3rd one right about here. Like so. See? And it did not. Of course, this got glued, but that's okay. We took it out. So there you go. All right, let's add some dimensionals to our little flaps so that they are adhered down. Hopefully these don't show. Oh, we're good. The other ones I use my mini dimensionals, so these are good. And one more. Get this out of the way, this out of the way. I'm done with the glue. All right, let's put some pretty embellishments on here. Let's see, I think we're going to use the gold ones. I don't even know if we need anything on here. Let's see what it looks like though. I put one maybe here. And I think I'm going to go with just the big ones. One over here. And one about here maybe. So, okay. Well, there you go, friends. Friends, thanks again for liking and sharing my video and commenting on it. I appreciate you. And let me know in the comments which one you like the best. Do you like the stepped up version or the more simple version? I'd love to hear your comments. And please say hi and let me know where you're watching from. Until next time, friends, have a great day. Bye-bye.